Hi guys, my name's Ian and I'm a psychic medium based in the UK. In this video I'm going to talk a bit about spiritual healing and what it is and the various forms of spiritual healing. There's going to be a series of these videos, probably about 3 or 4, to answer a few questions for people. I'm going to read this from my notes as I do this because there's quite a lot to remember, a lot of names to remember. But this video basically is entitled Does Spiritual Healing Work? Well, you may scoff and you may doubt and you may be skeptical, but the scientific research seems to suggest it does. In the year 2000, there was a systematic review which looked at 23 trials using different types of healing, including mental healing, therapeutic touch, spiritual healing, etc. And most of the trials involved people which had heart and skin conditions, and there was one study of children with leukemia. This particular study, the reviewer pulled together the published results of all these trials and to draw his own conclusions, and it was difficult for the researchers to draw firm conclusions because the designs of the studies were so different, but over half the studies showed that healing had a positive effect on the people. And these effects included lowered anxiety, lowering pain thresholds and lowering blood pressure, and of course helping people to sleep better, all very beneficial. A study in 2012 basically looked at whether spiritual healing could help women taking long-term hormone therapy for breast cancer. And long-term hormone therapy can cause side effects that make some women stop taking it. The researchers wanted to find out whether spiritual healing could support patients having side effects for this treatment. And 12 patients took part and had healing therapy every week for 10 weeks. The researchers found that patients having healing therapy had fewer treatment side effects, higher energy levels, better well-being and more emotional relaxation. They also started to take part in activities they had given up since their original cancer diagnosis. Professor Wallach, a psychologist at the University of Northampton, conducted analysis of the data and basically said we should take this phenomenon seriously even if we don't understand it. To ignore it would be unscientific. Our work shows that there is a significant effect. Healing is a flow of energy. Some believe it to originate from a divine source, i.e. from God or some other higher power. Others say that the healing energy is part of the natural energy that exists within and around us all, sometimes described as the universal energy field. Others haven't got a clue where it comes from. It doesn't really matter what you believe or don't believe, because healing will have an effect. Spiritual healing is not the same as faith healing, in which the success of the treatment depends on the patient's faith in the healer or the belief in God or in a specific religion. No religious faith is required for spiritual healing to work. Research into psychic warfare, which is going to put a slight tangent from spiritual healing, which was carried out by the USA and Russia into the power of psychics, suggested that such powers do exist, although yet unexplained to mainstream science. The energy is said to be electromagnetic in nature and exists in all living things, and this energy can be directed by thought and intention in various ways. For instance, to direct healing to someone anywhere in the world, but by the same nature, scientists under the direction of the CIA undertook a program called MK Ultra, which was a government-controlled and funded research program into behavioural engineering through mind control. The Russians developed similar programs into psychic research, so we can assume China, the UK and other countries also developed programs along similar lines of research into the untapped powers of the human mind. The American program began in the 1950s as a black budget research program and was officially sanctioned in 1953 and officially halted in 1973, although research suggests it still carries on to this day under different names and different guises. Although recent requests through the Freedom of Information Act suggest it was officially halted, it simply went underground. It is now part of the black budget research program. My own research in the UK, when I contacted the UK government about research into psychics and psychic powers, brought back a massive information about the money that they spent investigating something that doesn't exist. And basically most of the actual information they released was redacted and blacked out, with huge sections of it blacked out. You couldn't read it, still subject to a official secret act. The study of psychic phenomena by major scientists really started in the mid-19th century, Early researchers included Michael Faraday, Alfred Russel Wallace, Rufus Osgood Mason and William Crookes. Their work predominantly involved carrying out focused experimental tests on specific individuals who were thought to be psychically gifted. Reports of apparently successful tests were met with much scepticism, as you would expect, from the scientific community. In the 1930s, J.B. Ryan basically expanded the study of paranormal performance into larger populations by using standard experimental protocols with selected human subjects. And from World War II until the 1970s, the US government occasionally funded ESP research. When the US intelligence community learned that the USSR and China were conducting ESP research, it became receptive to the idea of having its own competing PSI research program. And there's actually a very good book on this called, I think it's called Psychic Spies Behind the Iron Curtain, which has got a lot of research in it. Modern scientific advances into quantum mechanics and string theory have opened up new doors to the universe, and everything in it is being connected to a subatomic level of consciousness. Recent disclosures by a retired CIA operative into psychic research suggested the research was taken very, very seriously indeed, with budgets in excess of $20 million a year. When you think about that, $20 million a year researching something that the governments tell you doesn't exist doesn't really make sense, does it? If it doesn't exist, they wouldn't spend that much money on it. And to this day, they do spend vast amounts of money researching ESP, telepathy, and all sorts of mind powers. So really, the modern term for these abilities is quantum entanglement. And if everything is connected, it is possible for a trained individual to pick up information about anybody or any place anywhere in the world by using this fault energy matrix. And this is, I believe, the underlying principle by which healing works. It's not a placebo effect, but a very real phenomena as yet understood by science, although I do believe from my research that it's fully understood by the military as they see its potential for espionage and defence activities. General military technology tends to be 20-30 years in advance of mainstream public knowledge. So by the same notion, we can assume psychic research into healing, PSI, telekinesis, remote viewing, etc. is advanced by the same level or possibly more, which is probably quite frightening actually. Uri Geller, the internationally known psychic and spoonbender, recently acknowledged that he was a psychic spy in the employ of various government institutions for various projects undisclosed and disclosed. Because they believe spoonbending is carried out with the same psychic energy as healing. Everything has a opposite, and the energy can be used for positive situations such as healing, or negative situations such as investigated by the military. Because all energy is basically it's neither positive nor negative. It depends upon the intent of the person that actually uses it to direct it. And again, my own investigations and experiments into remote viewing brought out some very interesting answers. It sees you can view current time as you understand it, but also look into the past and see past events, and the future to see what will be. Prophecy was ripe in the Old Testament, and my own experiences have proved to me it was very real. Without going into too much detail, I have foreseen certain events that happened in the UK before they happened, that were well publicised in the papers, and I also foresaw that Einstein's theory was incorrect 2 years before it was announced by the researchers at CERN. They claimed, I think it was on the 23rd of the 9th of 2011, that Einstein's string theory was wrong. They basically said that an experiment had shown the celebrated genius was mistaken when he declared that nothing can go faster than light. It will overturn one of the fundamental laws of the universe if they were right. The international team of experts said they had recorded subatomic particles called neutrinos travelling fractionally faster than light. They pumped out the particles from the CERN Research Centre, home of the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva, Switzerland, to Gran Sasso, Italy. Spokesman Antonio Ereditato said, "We have high confidence in our results. We have checked and rechecked Einstein's 1905 theory of special relativity that the speed of light is a cosmic constant. It is a cornerstone of physics, and the new findings could even mean time travel is possible. Expert Dr. Mark Hadley of the University of Warwick said, if the discovery is right, it would be truly revolutionary. And if you research that on Google, you'll actually find that research. But what is interesting, I actually predicted that 2 years before it happened. During a meditation session where I was attempting to access hidden knowledge, I actually wrote in my diary Einstein's theory of relativity wrong, and that actually appeared as the headline in the Daily Mail 2 years later. And there's a lot more information as well about unfolding world events. So you can actually tap into this timeline if you're in the right state of mind. And I know we can off a tangent here from healing, but because it's also connected, I really wanted just to go in a bit about how energy works, because the energy basically surrounds us all. Everything is connected. You, me, everybody else in the world. It doesn't matter your colour, your race, your religion or belief. You're all connected at a subatomic level. It's the reason that you can use absent healing on somebody by directing a thought at that person and visualizing that person in your mind's eye, because all thought is energy, and where attention goes, energy flows. But I'll talk about that more in another video. I hope you've enjoyed this brief explanation into healing, and I'm going to do a few more videos later on today and post them online as soon as I can. In the meantime, as usual, have a great day. May light shine upon your path, and I wish you well. Thank you very much. Bye bye.